Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order, our October 22nd meeting at 10:03. We'd all stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Family, to do the
Gracious God, please join us today, guide us in our decision making, look over us, look over all of our staff, look over our new building project, and help us do right by each and every one of our clients. Thank you, Naaman.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Treasurer Lynch,
He's here.
Director McKinnon,
Here.
Director Pinder,
Here.
President Potter,
Here.
Secretary Turek, present, Member at Large, Commissioner Carolyn Brumman,
Present.
and Vice President Dolores Schlicker is absent, excused.
Okay. Election of officers of the board. We have to renew all the positions, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I guess when,
We'll start with the president and then vice president, secretary, and then treasurer.
I have to do the approval of the agenda first.
oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. My apologies. Approval of the agenda from what presented.
I made a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by McKinnon, seconded by Lynch to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we have the election of officers of the board.
So I am calling for the nomination for, is open for the president.
I nominate Bill Potter.
I second.
Motion by Turk, seconded by McKinnon to nominate Phil Potter as president. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. We have vice president now. Dolores told me she would continue to be vice president if we wanted her, so it's up to the board to nominate whoever.
I'll nominate Dolores Schlicker as vice president.
Second.
Motion by Turek, seconded by Lynch to nominate Dolores Schlicker as vice president. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have treasurer or secretary.
secretary, nominations for secretary.
I nominate Bob Turek for secretary.
I second it.
Motion by McKinnon, seconded by Pinder to nominate Bob Turek as secretary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And lastly, nominations are open for treasurer.
I nominate Roland for treasurer.
I second it.
Motion by McKinnon, seconded by Pinder to nominate Roland Lynch as treasurer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. And we'll move on to approval of the minutes of our September 24th meeting.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the September 24th meeting.
Second.
Motion by McKinnon, seconded by Lynch to approve the minutes from our last meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public comment. 2 minutes, please. Name and township.
Judy French, Haynes Township. Couple things. I had a call the other day and I just saved y'all a vote for the millage. So this person that called me, she actually holds a position on a township. She had received at least 10 phone calls asking her if she knew, is this a renewal? Is this brand new? What is this? Because of the wording. So I explained to her, I said, I don't know, they explained it at the meeting, something about this rollback thing, she knew what I was talking about. So she says, okay, well, that just changed my mind, she was going to vote no. She says, okay, now, since I know that it's a continuation of the same thing, I'll vote yes. So she says, I'll make some phone calls, so hopefully the people she talks to will also understand that. Now, this is where somehow get the information out there, because there are people, because of the wording, oh, this is a brand new millage, I'm not gonna pay more than I already am. They don't understand one is just ending and this one's taking over. So I would suggest mass, somehow get the word out.
She called me too.
Okay,
So, unfortunately, a lot of people have already done their absentee voting, but
right,
if they do reach out to her, they can scrap that vote and redo, but that's just one township, yes.
okay, so you know what I'm talking about, yeah. There was another thing I wanted, just curious on the number of people coming, how that's going with the congregate meals, the activities and stuff like that. How are the crowds? Are we doing with that? Just kind of wondering some feedback on that. And then the other thing was, the cost of the meals. I don't know how many months back it was. I mean, it's been probably more than 6 months. I know it was brought up at this meeting and it was voted on to raise that cost and it hasn't been done. Just kind of curious, what takes so long? What's the problem? If it was voted to go ahead and raise it, how come it's not been done?
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Say something, can I say something? Or no?
no,
Okay.
okay, we'll go to, we have no more comments? Close the comment period. Presentation, we have Andy Shaw, construction manager, project manager. It's all yours.
Hey, how's that?
That's better.
Okay, so, let's start off with residential. We received yesterday the pipe for the water. And so we're gonna be actually today starting to install the water pipe from the building. That'll go back as a main, pretty much down the road. And there'll be 8 individual services that'll go to the houses. So that will, be started today and we'll keep going until we're finished. That's about the only thing left in the residential area. Little, couple of punch list items, but, we have the topsoil spread, and as soon as we finish putting the water pipe in the ground, we'll finish our seeding and some landscaping, and that'll be that. On the, main building, we have, the water pipe installation there from the wells to the building. We're getting that all laid out. We have, our last well being drilled today, so we had tape well drilling out there. We ended up having to relocate, from the north basically to the south property line. We've got the first well we drilled, basically not gonna use. That was towards the north property line. On the south property line, we have one that's, they think it's gonna yield 25 gallons per minute. It's a little bit shallow, but it's still good water. Then the second one is kind of over towards the south near the telephone pole on the west side of the pole, 155 feet deep, and yield 35 gallons per minute. That's a really good one, really the perfect well. And then today we did the water divining and proximate to that, and then we've got our third well going in. So we've got the well manager, the water manager that actually works for Eagle, Jason.
Hit it again, the battery might be going bad.
How's that?
Yeah.
Good, okay. So, the, water, fellow, Jason, he's like the water administrator going forward. Actually works for Eagle, but has a side gig doing this work. He's supposed to come out Wednesday, and then he'll test the water in all 3 wells. And that's a full spectrum test, everything from nitrates to, PCB to. Pick up again, huh? Great. Sorry about that. Okay, so, anyhow, keep that down a little bit. Better?
Better.
Okay, great. So, then, the water, so the water's coming along, and obviously super important. And, went over how it's gonna come into the building and kind of in our, what's defined as the exterior storage area, it's kind of the second garage, next to the garage is where we'll have our 3 pressure tanks. And then from there, it'll go off to both the kitchen and to the janitor's closet, and then from there to the north end of the building, and from the north end of the building over to the houses. So that's all underway. The good thing about using Jason, that when he takes the test on Wednesday, is that he'll deliver it right to where he works in Lansing, and then we'll tend to get the test results a lot faster than if we just send it through the mail kind of thing. So I'm not expecting any problem with the water. It's not a bacteria test. The bacteria test you don't do until you chlorinate the lines and you're all done. So they know there's gonna be bacteria present because we haven't chlorinated. But they're worried more about nitrates and other contaminants like that. So as soon as we get the green light on that, we'll do the rest of the well development. So we're only putting in temporary pumps right now, just little 10-gallon per minute pumps in order to bring the water up for the sampling. But then once we know we're good, we'll put in our big 35-gallon per minute pumps. They're 480 volt pumps, and then we'll do all the final water, running the water lines, all that kind of stuff, once we know for sure the water's good. So that's the water side. On the septic tanks, on the septic system, we still have to put the tanks in that are near the building, but we're still running big lifts around the building that are too big for the tanks. So we're kind of waiting until we gotta finish the drive, finish the glass, just a little more, tune up with the HVAC, and then that'll be the end of the big lifts that are around the building, and then we can put the tanks in. So that's kind of coming in sequence. Then, we have natural gas to the building already with a meter. The electrical is all set. We just have to pass a few inspections on our main electrical system, which they're still working on. So we have all of our big panels, all of our big transformers that are on site being installed. And, the two main guys that are doing that, they're going along, but it's quite an undertaking. I'd say they're about halfway finished. And so, but that's just ongoing. So once they get to a certain point, basically where they can safely turn off the electricity, then consumers will energize their building. So, just having months of, 5 generators running all day long, I can't wait for that day. That's, it just reverberates right into the construction trailer, but that's coming along. And then, let's see, on the, HVAC, today we got another load of ductwork in, so we're kind of going unit by unit. All the units are on the roof, they're all gas pipe. We got a couple of, economizers that were on back order this morning, and then we're just, fabricating duct and installing duct and insulating duct, so that's ongoing. Fire suppression, that guy is really doing a great job. He's probably got 70% of the fire suppression main up and installed right now. And then anywhere we have an open ceiling, he has the actual heads in place. And then he'll the way it'll work is he'll finish this whole main. Then once we put our ceiling tiles in, then he comes back for his little 2-foot drop. So, he's coming right along. By this Friday, other than the tank, he'll be largely wrapped up. So the fire suppression is coming right along. On the interior stud framing, probably by this Friday, we'll be 100% done with all of our interior metal stud framing. So we're just waiting on one last delivery, and should take them a couple days after we get that. Drywall's ongoing. We have about 4 guys that are constantly drywalling every day, and a lot of that is the electrical has to be in place, the plumbing has to be in place, so there's just good interaction between those guys. And we're just looking where we can go to put drywall up, and there's plenty of spots, so those guys will keep going. Electrical, we're again, we've got kind of the main, most talented electricians are working on the high voltage electricity, but then there's a bunch of other guys that are doing just the conduits and getting ready for plugs and that kind of thing. So that, there's kind of two crews running at the same time doing that. Plumbing, he's keeping right up every time we put studs. They're just right behind us, putting pipes in the walls, and we're getting real close, other than the kitchen for a rough plumbing. But we can get a rough plumbing in zones, the building's big enough, so I can probably get 3 or 4 different rough plumbing inspections in the walls. So every time we can one side all the walls, but we're looking to close a cavity, we have to get that final rough inspection. And we'll probably do that about 4 times as we go along, it's kind of slow up the drywaller. Glass is ongoing, all of our glass is on site. At the end of this week, they're gonna measure for the 3 big windows. And the way that worked is the driver guy had to finish all of the stucco around the window in order for the glass guy to get a really accurate measurement when he cuts his glass and everything. So they're gonna measure on Friday for that. Otherwise, they're working every day. They come up, they actually build stuff on Mondays, and then they usually show up late Monday afternoon and really work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they cut out about a half day on Friday. So those guys are coming right along, they're not holding anything up. The FED core, they're just working on a lot of trim, a lot of vinyl pieces. They had a couple of pieces got back ordered, but they're just buttoning up the gutters and just various final trim pieces. So they probably got a couple more weeks to detail that whole thing out. Today we finished the hoop, so ended up buying a whole package. We started off with Spalding and we went to all these different, it's been a lot of bouncing back and forth. And what came down is there was about 3 good companies that are package dealers, right? So they're gonna sell you the hoops, the nets for pickleball, the nets for the volleyball, the curtain that goes across, the some of the bleacher stuff, and the scoreboard. And so that deal I made this morning, 95,000, which we had numbers all the way to $500,000. It's been always so crazy, you know, and we just, by either the grace of God, we got this fellow out of Indiana, and he just shopped everything, the accumulators, like he'll get a quote from Spalding, even though Spalding's bidding directly to us, and he's probably getting a better number than I can get. But then we ended up going with Spalding, but he was shopping almost on our behalf to put the whole package together, and really came in right at budget, thank goodness. So he's coming out next week, and then he'll do the measuring for exactly how the hoops will fold up and what have you. And one thing I really liked about this fellow, his name happens to be Andrew, he understands the use of like an extra knuckle or two to really hide the hoops. So that when you're playing volleyball or some other sport, you know, some of the guys, you'd see these drawings come in and like, you just made it go up, it's still completely in the way, you know? And then this guy, you can see it really tucks up there nicely, and I think that's gonna be nice. So that's coming along, with Kohl's on the flooring. They just are giving us such great pricing, it's just unbeatable. And then what we do is Alex and Brad come over and we kind of measure, like we measured for the offices, for instance, pretty much all that's done. We measure the game room, and so we're just kind of measuring the rooms as they take shape, you know, and so all that's ongoing. And then the stucco guys just out there, you know, working away every day, so that's about it. Just kind of hitting on all fronts and progressing along.
Well, I think if anybody had questions that had come up during the site tour, this would be the time to ask them, because I know I had several people ask me certain things that I couldn't have a for sure answer on.
I have a couple that, one was the drain in the garage for the trucks.
Yeah, the sad thing is they're illegal. And I was tempted to put one in, but I can't do it on a commercial building. You know, like I gotta tell you, we put them in the garages. That's not, technically it's illegal, right?
Okay.
And they're dry sump kind of thing, so I really thought about it. We've got a little bit of a pitch and what happens is, the reason they are illegal is because people will train oil, you know, I got this thing, it's just one of those things, so I can't legally put one in, even though it totally makes sense, so, you know, we'll see if there's a point where we could cut one in. It's no big deal just to cut a square and at least put a drain thing in there and have it be a dry sump, at least for the melting of snow and what have you that comes on. But yeah, in my personal house, they just didn't do it. I don't have them in my house. And every time I build a residential house, I stick it in, right? I do them anyhow, you know, after the fact kind of thing. But in a commercial building like this, it's a little bit different. But I could still see myself putting one in after, you know.
Good.
Yeah, so.
And then I have one thing that was asked a lot was the walk-in coolers, like the freezer and the
Yeah.
cooler. Will those be right in the kitchen or will they be in
That's,
like
what it is, so here, it was just kind of a bummer, the kitchen wasn't framed, we're just kind of waiting
Right,
for those
right.
particular size. But, the market was on the ground, I think I showed a couple people, so it's, if you're going towards the main entrance, like if you came in the back door that would service it, you know, like, so you're on the south end, you're walking in, and now you're almost through the kitchen, and it would be the back wall of the garage. So, and the way it's set up is there's a little area for a, desk and a little, well, I think there's a little slop sink there. But the idea is that it will come in from there, you know, going towards the entrance, and you'll be between the dry food storage and the frozen food storage, and then you can do your check-in. So like a little desk right there.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was, just funny thing, we're just waiting on these particular studs, not super odd size, but they're hopefully gonna come in Wednesday that allow us to finish framing. And then the cool thing is, our kitchen guy, John Lowry, was supposed to come in today, and now he moved it to Thursday. And so I'm hoping that when he shows up, everything is all framed in, so. And then if we get in a jam, like if I hear that there's some problem, we have longer studs that we can cut down for those studs, but hate to waste it all, but we've been waiting on those for about 4 weeks now, so. That's it.
Well, I know that everybody that I toured for 3.5 hours nonstop was very impressed. I had not one negative thing said the whole day.
That's awesome, that's great, thanks.
How many pickleball nets are they putting into the bid? I know there's 3 permanent
Yeah,
courts.
three permanent, we got a side company, that gave us, I think it was 300. I shopped the, temporaries, the just movable types, and I was able to get those almost like an Amazon type thing, just perfectly good quality, but a lot cheaper. And this guy, they don't deal in that kind of stuff, right? But this fellow, you know, his clients are Michigan State, you know, and stuff like that, so they don't have temporary, he probably would get them, they'd be like 4 times as much money. And the cheaper ones are gonna work perfectly fine, so the math works out, you can have 11 pickleball courts in there. So,
And so all the storage for this is in the corner where there's no concrete yet.
yeah, and we're getting close there. On that one, we are getting, there's a tank for the water that goes in there. And I needed to have that be engineered, right, by a Michigan approved engineer. And long story, we're finally getting that finished. And we kept getting these drawings, I'm like, that's not how it works. I don't ballpark 8-footing in a, you know, for a 25,000 gallon tank in a building. And so we're getting that tuned right in. Probably this week we'll have the final drawing. Then that'll allow us to build a footer for the tank, and then we can finish the concrete. And then plus we have one water line that's going out of there too. So we've got a water line and a tank footer, and then we can finish that concrete. And then right then we'll start building the wall and actually making that storage there.
You know, one question a lot of people ask me, since that gym is so huge, is how many times around the gym is a mile?
I can answer that right now, actually, it's funny, I can give you that number,
Cause I believe this gym is like 22 times around,
I'll
cause
tell you
they
right now.
use little chips.
Divide that by 6,
Divide that by 6.
22 times divided by 6. And that'll give you, I'm gonna guess, about around, so that's gonna be about 4 times around that gym. Maybe 5.
Yeah, so
I think you can put 5 of these in that gym. 3.6. 3.6? Yeah.
I just came up with, 11 times.
11 times.
Yeah, 11 times around will get you mine.
So
But I
that's
can
half
check it.
of what this is, cause I believe it's 22 around here.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I might have done the math wrong, I'll check it when I get back, so. But, if it's anything different, I'll send you a quick email. Yeah,
How many seating for like weddings and things like that?
so our inside of, the fire marshal final number was 120. For the, we got hit on a couple of things on that with exits and what have you. And so I have to check one last time, but without pushing it, we were 120 in that particular room. And, that we kept getting hit on a bunch of things. I have to triple check on that one, but, because I know the architect was kind of pushing back, but that's where Don Gilman, on the final review, really got us, you know, on the final number. But I'd have to check because I know we were at 120, and then the architect there was this email where he was gonna like research code and research travel distances and, you know, see if he made any progress on it. So.
And would the gym be it? I mean, is the
What-
floor,
The way to supplement that, of course, is just with our outdoor area, so that's inside.
right?
That's that's inside 120. But you
Okay.
can, you know, like, for an outdoor wedding, you're in a way infinite, you know, I mean, you could, or if you wanted to put the 2, you can have a 10, you know, depending on the size of the tent or the number of tents, there's a lot of room out there, so the 120 is just strictly an indoor number. Like, for instance, on the craft, each room has its own, you know, its own number. Yeah, the gym is 152 people. So that you're allowed 152 people in the gym.
Okay.
You know, and so,
So I thought it was like my Cato Hall is like similar to this here. I thought it was around 200 and something in here. Am
yeah,
I pushing that?
could be, the codes are always changing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's something.
You're getting shorter travel distances and less people. You know, every time there's one of those big incidents somewhere, it flows through the code, you know, so.
Right.
I think back in the day, I mean, you put 300 people in, you know, but not like that anymore.
Okay. Carolyn?
May I assume that, and Wendy, you may be able to answer this also, the two of you, that for the kitchen, that has been coordinated with our staff because to meet their needs for particular pans and particular wash areas and prep areas. Has that been coordinated with them?
Yeah, there was a lot of work already on with the kitchen. We met with, the kitchen staff a couple times and so, but we're not at the pan level. I wouldn't say we haven't gone over pans just yet, but as with all the big stuff, like that, there was quite a bit of jiggling around actually that went on, dealing with, the main ones were like the freezer, the storage, making sure we had lockers at the entrance. The dishwashing area is gonna be so much more functional just by the way it flows.
Drains was a big thing.
Yeah, that was a big one, the drains, as you see all those floor drains in
Yeah.
there. Floor drains, it's a lot of items, we had a list that we worked through, one of them, the big one was the layout for the hot, cold, and so, yeah, and then the other thing was kind of the flow of food and products so that it ends right near the door that goes into the garage. Yeah. So, yeah,
No one knows better than the people who are doing it every day.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Andy.
Well,
Very good review, Sunday.
Thank you.
oh, great, great.
Very good
Really
review.
nice, man, Carolyn, good job. Put that together.
Thank you. Nemska. Nobody got Nemska? Thank you. So we don't have anybody from NEMSCA here. Carolyn, would you like to?
Good morning. My apologies for having missed, last month. First of all, I want to congratulate all of those that worked on both Sunday and behind the scenes for the sneak preview, because as it's already been expressed, it was, in my eyes, very, very successful. I did have one naysayer, but, said, won't be done till March at least. They can't get this all done by January. I said, well, they're doing the best they can, and so we'll just hope for the best for them. And I said, if supplies don't come in, they can't work with them. So I said, it's not always all in their hands. Sometimes it's the supplier, so. And nowadays, the supply situation is, I guess, rather difficult. But congrats, I think Sunday was very successful. Whoever ordered the weather did a wonderful job. And it was good. Yesterday, we had an opioid presentation at the county building. It dealt with a little bit of the history of opioids and naloxone, and then it dealt with naloxone, when to use it, how to use it, and the fact that if you use it and the person wasn't in a drug overdose, you've done no harm. If they were having a heart attack or anything similar, utilizing the naloxone has not deterred or made their condition any worse. And so, from my perspective, I think it was pretty successful. We are going to have another one, and I think we're going to schedule 3 a year. And I will try and see that you all get the notices. Next one will probably be in February, we're guessing. So, anyway, Donna Hardy's did a wonderful job in her presentation. We, of course, are working on budgets. We have a January, December budget year, where yours is October, September. So you've gotten your work and everything in order. Ours is in the process now. Hats off to Wendy. Well, first of all, I want to thank this board for having, in such a timely manner, having gotten the budget passed, so that then Wendy could take it to the Board of Commissioners, as is required by the contract. And she did a very good job in presenting it, answered whatever questions there were, and I think it was well received. And it was informative for those members who were there. So, hats off to Wendy and her team that developed the budget. And it was a good job, and that's kind of a highlight of what I've been working on.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Executive Director's Report.
The first thing, following up with Carolyn, I did present the budget to the finance committee that approved it. And then presented it to the county, which was approved. And then I do have, we are interviewing for a direct care worker position. We had a couple interviews last week. We did have a direct care worker retire. So we're just filling her position. And we will be interviewing for in-home service coordinator due to resignation from that position. In the meantime, I'm filling in to do that. For the month of September, we served 2,824 meals, and 452 of them were congregate. Starting October 1st, the premium pay for the direct care workers did go up another 20 cents. It went from $3.20 to $3.40 an hour, which we do get reimbursed from NEMSCA for that. That's on top of their regular wage. We do have the small white truck for sale. We've had it for sale and have been advertising it for about a month. I have not heard one thing. And I'm wondering, am I allowed to put a for sale sign in the window and like set it up in the parking lot, or?
What, don't have any objections, I don't think.
Be able to do it when we're advertising.
Right. Okay. That'll be the next step then. And we do have a trip to Cannabis planned on Thursday with a full bus, so we're excited about that. I do think we could consider selling the red van if we get approval. I feel there's a couple people that could be in interest of that. It's the passenger van with the handicap accessible, like the white one that we sold to the school, but the red one. I also have in the books a service animal policy for the board's approval. I do work with a lot of the other Commission on Agings about different things that COAs are doing or going through. Service animal policy's been brought up here several times. People have questioned about bringing their animals in. And I was able to get some of the policies from some of the other COAs, which they're really federal laws, federal and state laws is what they are. So I'm just wondering if we can approve that to put a policy in place for ACCOA.
To bring them in for what?
If somebody comes in with a service animal, I mean, we can't technically turn them down, and I've had a couple of workers tell them absolutely not, they can't bring them in. And it's really a law that we can't, yeah.
Okay, so I understand it's a law, but let's go a step further. I'm all for animals, you know that, I have plenty, I love them. But say you have a couple people bring in their service animals, and those animals don't get along with the other animal. I mean, can we take that, try and find out? I mean, dog fights are expensive, not to mention usually somebody ends up getting bit and stuff like that, and I'm not trying to throw a wrench into it. And if it's law, we gotta do it, but we also gotta understand that not all pets get along with other pets.
I think that their service animals are trained,
I do believe they're trained that they won't,
and they would have to have
and it would
a
be.
proof that they're trained.
Cause I know like Amy, a friend of mine, Amy, needs hers all the time. He is her everything, so I get it, and he is trained, but I know a lot of people would say, this is my service dog because I need it as a companion. Is it the same thing?
No,
Okay,
no.
then,
There's a difference between emotional
Service dog and
and
emotional.
service.
If they have a service dog, don't they come with certificates?
Exactly. Maybe it's teachers or things like that, where emotional support is
Required to allow service.
totally different.
good, just making sure,
Yep.
because
The
I.
law is probably you have to have service.
All
I mean, I don't think technically we have a choice if it's a service animal.
No positive, but also they like the emotional support animal, that choice on.
Okay.
So I just ask that you guys look that over, and what we have was I got from two other COAs that their attorneys wrote for them, so we just kind of changed the wording and put ACCOA in there, so, and then Andy had mentioned previously that the generator may not be compatible that we have here, that we had gotten on a grant to take with us. I had reached out to NEPSCA and I do have the email in there that states that we would be able to trade out for a different one if, it's not compatible. If not, then we would have to follow their guidelines and offer it to another COA, so. And I've already kind of mentioned, we had a lot of positive feedback from the tour on Sunday. Our Thanksgiving dinner is scheduled for Thursday, November 21st for our congregate, and it'll also go out for home delivered meals. And then tomorrow, from 10 to 3, this will be our second time working with the Secretary of State, but their mobile office will be here, and last time it went over very well. So we were pretty steady through the day, so.
I see here we served a total of 2,824 meals for the month of September, with 452 of those meals being congregate, which I believe answers Judy's question. Partial.
If you put a sign on the vehicles for sale, are you going to leave them across the road down here?
I was thinking maybe we could put them up here,
Right
right here in this parking lot facing the road, and then we get the bank traffic that would see them.
No, okay, the reason why I asked, but, if you're going to leave them across the road, then I think if you get a permit from, or ask, city, doing, if it's okay to do that, because that's, city property.
I think that would be nice.
Okay. That's all we have. We'll move on to treasurer's report. That'll be you, Ron.
Okay, the assets, working funds, checking and savings, bureau, $1,125,494.74. New building project funds received in full 12.5 million as of 7/24/2024. Total amounts spent as of 10/21/24, 9,400,385.48. And that is it.
Could I have you repeat the new building received and spent number that you just? It differs from mine.
9,474,000 or 10/21/24.
$9,447,385.48. Okay. We need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report, subject to audit.
Thank you. Second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by McKinnon, seconded by Turek to accept the treasurer's report, subject to audit. Roll call, please.
Lynch,
Yes.
McKinnon,
Yes.
Hinder,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes,
Turek, yes.
motion carried. Secretary's report.
Hopefully I have it in the right place. It's just a series of resolutions
that regarding extending the election out a little bit, that we've all signed that, but I think we should probably just ratify it one last time for the record. So I'd make a motion that we just officially ratify the resolutions of the Board of Directors regarding the election, extending the election dated September 25th, 2024.
Asking for a second on that?
We need a motion first.
I'll move that we just officially ratify those resolutions. Like I said, we've already signed it, but let's just ratify it one other time.
Okay, motion by Turek, seconded by Lynch to ratify the resolution for the election. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried? Okay. Committee reports. The only committee we met was a finance committee. Correct?
Correct, as far as I know. I think the building committee is kind of you're always meeting, doing various things, but the only official meeting we have. And then behind that summary of that finance and budget committee meeting is where, Phil just made the new committee assignments. So that should be the final page in there that has the yellow highlighted.
Okay. Unfinished business, Board of Directors election results.
Rollin, I'll kind of report for the nominating committee. Rollin did officially get elected,
Correct.
crushed the competition.
Yeah.
So he is officially reelected for the next 3 years.
Okay. New business. Need to adopt that.
We're supposed to, at our organizational meeting every year, just officially set the dates for all our meetings for the upcoming year, so just officially. I don't know, I didn't see that. And then in past years, we've never even done that, but as far as I know, it might need to be not advertised, it might need to be posted. Yeah.
So it'll stay the fourth Tuesday of every month. And
Yeah, so I guess I would make a motion that we keep our meeting schedule at the fourth Tuesday every month, with the exception of December.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Turek, seconded by Lynch to keep our meeting dates the fourth Tuesday of every month except for December. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. 2 minutes.
Okay, so Judy French, Haynes Township. So I looked back on some of my notes, because I take notes all the time when I'm here. And in July, the congregate meals were $5.22. And in September, it was just reported at $4.52. That's 70 meals per month that we've gone down. Quick calculation, per week, between 17 and 18 people in a week, or 4 meals in a week. You can divide that down more per 4 days, but, whatever the reason, if we've gone down in numbers, let's figure out what that is. Try to get those people back.
You can't make somebody come back.
Thank you.
It's the same people.
You can invite them though.
They've said it, I guess, multiple times, even by the time.
and it's this time of the year, people are
Just talking about the specific issue,
Oh.
it's not.
performing. I mean,
Okay. Thank you. close the public comment. You have anything? So we'll move to director's additional comments and concerns. We'll start with Mr. Turek.
I would say, addressing some things that the public has brought up in the past, not just today. Some things that the public's brought up in the past, not just today, that the issue of raising the suggested donation has been put on hold for right now, so that has been addressed, but there are many things that will be evaluated, continuing to be evaluated on a month-to-month basis. Also, that's one of them, as well as in any other kind of program changes, so the programs and policies committee that I am put on, will definitely be taking a look at several things.
I'd just like to follow up on that whole price change. We are very aware that we are like one of the cheapest, and it's been discussed and discussed and discussed. To do it, to not do it, to do it, to not do it. The bottom line is it's always the same people that pay. And the majority do not pay. So I get if we raise it, the same 15 people that pay every month for their services and their meals, they'll pay more. But there's nothing that we can make people pay. And that's where our biggest challenge lies, is because the majority of people that use this for meals and activities do not pay. And by law, and by NEMSCO rules, there's nothing we can do. We can't make people pay. So, yeah, we know it needs to happen. But on the other hand, is it just punishing the same, say, 15 people that actually pay? So that's why it hasn't. As far as, the advertising about the millage, like I said, Cindy, when I put that post out on Facebook, she was on the phone instantly and said, "Woman, why didn't you let us know?" Executive director's first millage like this, I guess maybe we all let that, even the board, didn't realize that we should have been going around to the townships and letting them know. Lesson learned. We have people that come and use our services and come and play cards, and they are our seniors, and they're downstairs and they're telling people not to vote no on our millage. They themselves, the ones that are using these services, are telling each other, vote no. What are we supposed to do? They don't realize that if they vote no and they vote no, that there won't be a place for them to play cards? I don't know, I don't get it. I just,
That's something when I hear them do it, that I point out, like, well, you didn't hear, you know, not in a mean way, but what do you mean? If you vote no, you won't be able to come and eat or play euchre or do, you know, all the renewal for the money to pay for the lights and that, you know.
and it's a renewal, because we didn't want to ask for more money because, well, we wanted to because we knew we needed it, but on the other hand, we knew it wasn't in the best interest in the community to do that. Again, we can't make people vote, but it's kind of up to them to realize you're either gonna support what you use or you don't, and if you don't, it won't be here forever. The other thing is the advertising. There will be ads going out on the millage in the newspaper. Unfortunately, we missed out on a lot of the early voting, because that's a thing now, but there will be ads. It is on every one of the Facebook sites I put it out on. The newspaper, I guess I have to give Cheryl a kudos, because she did come to the thing on Sunday to see, but they were asked after our last meeting to work with us, and they had chose not to. So we cannot make the newspaper cover if they choose not to. Again, our hands are tied, but we're trying. I mean, as a board, I think we're doing the best we can do under these circumstances when every door seems to be closing in our face. And that's just me and my opinion, and
I mean,
people need to get involved in this place.
yeah, and I stand up that I've stood up at congregate meals on more than one occasion, euchre, bingo explaining the millage, that it's not gonna, it has nothing to do with that new building. Everybody thinks their taxes are going up because of that new building, and I mean, some people are like, oh, thank you for explaining that, I didn't know. Other people, it just, the next week, they're back in here, don't vote, don't vote, don't vote yes. And it's the same people. I mean, there's a couple of them that I know I've talked to, I know Pam's talked to, I know Phil has talked to, and they still every week continue to come in here and, but they continue to come in here, but they say, tell people to vote no.
So November is gonna be a surprise. Don't know what's gonna happen, but we will deal with it as it happens.
Well, just to refresh, the millage language that we approved of the board, it says, shall it remain at the original amount? So if you read the millage language, most people would say, okay, it's remaining at the original amount, that's a renewal. But it doesn't have the word renewal on it because that would have lost us out on money. So we're already using every single dollar that we need. Costs have gone up. So we made the decision to go for the amount, the largest amount of money we could get, which would entail that kind of phrasing. So if somebody just looks at the title and decides whether they want to vote on something, yeah, I don't know the way we can do anything about that. I mean, you read the millage, it says remain at the originally approved amount. We've put out, it keeps cutting out batteries. So it keeps coming, we have, in the flyer that got put out, it says, all of our funds are used, thank you. All of our funds are used for, the services. This is the same as it's always been. This is for our operating expenditures. This has nothing to do with the new building. So, I'm optimistic. Now, if you were going to try to get that information out to every person who did an absentee ballot, we would have been having to run ads for the last however many days, 45 days, but absentee ballots are out. Well, the committee to support the senior services millage didn't have enough money to do that for month after month. So it's going to come out these final 2 weeks.
Sure. Carolyn?
The thing that is difficult to explain, because quite often people won't give you the time to let you explain it. But Headley every year has causes a slight reduction in what we get. So if you, and we didn't, but just for easy math, if we started at a 10 millage or at a 0.10 millage rate, the next year it was probably approximately 0.98. And then it would have gone to like 0.97. Well, after 5 years, which is what frequently a millage runs, you're down to at least a 9.5 or 9.4 from the 10 mills that you started with. And as Dr. Turek so well explained it, if we went with a renewal, we would have had to start at that 9.5 place, and it would have kept dropping every year. But we chose to go back to that original amount, which was the wisest and the best thing to do. And no problem with any of that. But people don't want to hear, and they don't want to give you the time to let you explain that Headley, which is a state management of taxes, of millages, the same is true with the township, with the village, with the county, and it just keeps reducing. Now, you can have a millage that sustains at a point and cannot be affected by Headley, but those are much more difficult and so on. But as Dr. Turek has so well explained, it is the same millage And to get that across to people is challenging at best. So, but it's worth trying.
Thank you. So if we have no other directors' additional comments?
Like,
Oh. Okay, so if we don't have any additional public comments or comments from the directors, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Did you make a motion, Roland?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I need a second.
I'll-
Good. Motion by Lynch, seconded by McKinnon to adjourn the meeting. Call the president. Motion carried. Adjourned.